With Elder Scrolls 6 being one of the most anticipated games in modern gaming history, the pressure on Bethesda to deliver is absolutely immense. With their most recent DLC for Starfield getting very poor reviews, it wouldn't be wrong to say that Bethesda has definitely lost their touch. So today a YouTuber with 200 subscribers is going to be telling Bethesda what they need to do to save Elder Scrolls 6 and bring back the glory days of Morrowind, Oblivion and Skyrim. Now before I start this video, I want to thank everyone who's been watching the channel and has managed to get us to 200 subscribers. So hopefully if you do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe because it really helps us at the channel and it tells us that you enjoy the content we're making. In my opinion, the first thing that Bethesda should be prioritizing is creating an entirely new graphics engine. The current engine that has been used for Starfield is just completely outdated. It feels like a 2015 game and I'm sure all of you understand that. When you go ahead and compare the quality of Starfield to games like Cyberpunk 2077 or The Witcher 3, they're light years away from them. For Elder Scrolls 6 to succeed and take that next step, Bethesda must develop a modern engine that not only supports beautiful immersive environments, but also delivers top-notch facial animations. Let's be totally honest, Bethesda's NPCs has always felt a little bit off. Whether it's the stiff expressions or awkward moments, the NPCs need to feel more alive, and that can only happen with a brand new engine. The NPC quality for the time that Skyrim was released is totally understandable and respectable. However, if you look at the Starfield NPCs, they're just completely unacceptable in my opinion. Elder Scrolls 6 needs NPCs with dynamic, reactive behaviours that make the world feel more alive. Imagine NPCs having individual schedules, unique personalities, and the ability to react to your choice in nuanced ways. Whether it's forming rivalries or friendships, or towns reacting dynamically to a major in-game event, like a dragon for example, deepening these interactions will pull a lot of players into the world. Speaking of interactions, I think meaningful choices and consequences should play a huge part of Elder Scrolls 6. To take their game to the next level, I think this is another crucial element that Elder Scrolls 6 needs to offer. To be fair to Bethesda, in many previous titles, there was huge choices that you as a character had to make, but I'd like to see them continue this or even take it to the next step. Scrolls 6 should have branching storylines, faction rivalries, and moral dilemmas that shape the game world around you. If I decide to back one faction, I want to see the consequences of that choice ripple throughout the world. Villages deserted, new rulers in power, or landscapes just changed by wars. These choices need to matter and have consequences that extend beyond a single quest. To continue with the topic of the world of Elder Scrolls 6, I would really appreciate if this game we could actually get handcrafted quests and handcrafted dungeons. That might sound a little bit crazy, because Bethesda did actually used to do this until Starfield became a thing, where I felt like I was going through the exact same dungeon about 15 times, and I've been on 3 planets. Bethesda definitely have made some legendary quests, I'll give them that, whether it was questlines like Oblivion's Dark Brotherhood or Skyrim's Thieves Guild. So in that department, I will just say keep up the good work, because although Starfield wasn't a great game, I did actually enjoy many of the quests involved in the game. But I'd like to see some more detailed and unique quest lines that aren't just fetch quests or go here and kill that assignments. Complex stories with twists and characters that stick with you a long time after the game's end is what we need, and that's how Bethesda can stand out in a sea of open world games. And we all know that every open world game is crafted with a beautiful sense of freedom. In the past Elder Scrolls games, freedom was a cornerstone of the experience. You could go anywhere, do anything, and forge your own path. But with Starfield, some of that freedom was limited by linear quest design or world building. In Elder Scrolls 6, Bethesda seriously needs to return to a true open world experience where players feel free to explore every corner of the map without constant hand-holding or just endless journeys like many of the planets on Starfield. And I'm sorry to keep drawing back to Starfield, it's been so poor, especially with the recent DLC not filling us with much hope. Letting the players carve their own paths and stories, whether they become a mercenary for hire, a noble politician, or wandering mage for example. I've just given you some absolutely terrible examples, but I'm just gonna leave them there. But my point is that it's always been the most important part of the Elder Scrolls games. The key to these freedoms lies in giving the players their own tools to create their own adventure and enjoy the game at their own pace and make the most memories from it. Now this next section is going to be a bit harsh, but it's actually the writing. Bethesda's writing has never been the strongest part of their games, but with Fallout 4 and Starfield, it hit an all-time low in my opinion. And hopefully that is not too much of a hot take, because I know so many people love Fallout 4. Bland dialogue, one-dimensional characters, and lifeless storytelling have all become too common. It's almost like Bethesda have got AI to write their entire game dialogue. Bethesda needs to bring in new talent, writers who understand nuanced character development, compelling narratives, and well, have actually maybe spoken to other human beings before. Great RPGs are built on the foundation of storytelling, and if Elder Scrolls 6 is going to stand out amongst the competition, it needs better writers who can craft memorable characters and engage in plot lines. The next section is going to be improving the combat. I love Skyrim combat, and I think everyone else enjoyed it a lot, but it feels a bit bland when you compare it to other modern games, which is totally understandable. Once again, Skyrim is a very old game now. And I'm sorry to keep bringing up Starfield, but that was an opportunity for Bethesda to showcase to us and impress us with their combat and what they can actually do. Starfield seriously showed us how sluggish and outdated Bethesda's combat mechanics have become. Elder Scrolls 6 needs a combat that feels dynamic, fluid, and fun. Whatever class you may pick, the action should be satisfying and responsive. A complete overhaul of the combat system should inject some much needed life into the game, making each battle feel intense and rewarding, not like the repetitive slop we've had in recent titles. Now, something else I'd like to see Bethesda improve is the inventory management. One issue I find playing lots of RPGs these days is the overcomplicated inventory management, and the Bethesda games are some of the worst offenders. I'm not saying I'm some idiot who can't understand the menus or inventories, but I just don't think it's sometimes necessary anymore. In Elder Scrolls 6, my reward for completing a quest shouldn't be spending 10 minutes sorting through menus, deciding what to keep, what to drop, and how much weight I can carry. In my opinion, streamlining the inventory system would go a long way towards keeping players immersed in the world instead of pulling them out to fill with cumbersome menus, especially with many people in today's society not being able to look at something for more than 3 seconds. So maybe it would help them by making inventory management intuitive, so we can just spend a little bit more time adventuring and less time in menus. A massive issue that Bethesda has always struggled with is bugs in their games. Skyrim launched with quite a few bugs, and Fallout 76 was practically broken at launch. Even Starfield didn't escape without a fair share of technical issues. But in today's gaming landscape, there's no excuse. A game should launch when it's 100% ready. We recently had the perfect example of this when Cyberpunk, which is a masterpiece of a game, was heavily bugged at launch, and it completely ruined the game's reputation. Give Elder Scrolls 6 the time it needs through testing and bug fixes before release. No one wants to play another glitch-filled launch game that ruins everyone's experience. Something that is absolutely massive for Bethesda, and I don't know if they've fully embraced or even realised it yet, is their modding community. And it is something that they absolutely should embrace. It's arguably the reason that Skyrim is still relevant today, because of the incredible mods that are continuing to be made on the game. I have a really interesting opinion on this, but modding should not just be an afterthought, but maybe a core part of the experience. I think that Bethesda should prioritise providing better modding tools and a more intuitive creation kit for the modding community. They should actively be working with the community to incorporate fan ideas and fixes as well. Mods have breathed a lot of new life into Bethesda's games for years, with Fallout London being the most recent example, as well as Skyblivion. And if they are actually thinking long term about Elder Scrolls 6, and they want the game to have the same longevity as Skyrim, they need to empower modders right from the start. Bethesda has the potential to foster a community-driven ecosystem that keeps their game thriving for decades, if they can just swallow their own ego. It's almost as if Bethesda looks at these modders as competition, whereas they should actually be appreciating and respecting what they are doing for their company. I'm sure with how talented all of these modders actually are, they could quite easily go ahead and make Elder Scrolls 6 themselves. Lots of these modders bring in fantastic new ideas, and maybe Bethesda needs to innovate in this department. Everyone loves Skyrim, but I'm sure we can all agree that we don't want Elder Scrolls 6 to just be Skyrim with better graphics. What made Skyrim great was how revolutionary it was at the time, and that's what we need Elder Scrolls 6 to be. Bethesda needs to introduce new mechanics, fresh gameplay ideas, and surprises that keep the game from feeling like a rehash of what we've already played. Whether it's new forms of magic, enhanced AI systems, or dynamic weather that affects gameplay, Elder Scrolls 6 has to push the boundaries of what an RPG can be if it wants to beat the competition. So, to recap, Bethesda needs to rethink their entire approach in order to make Elder Scrolls 6 a true masterpiece. From creating a new graphics engine and hiring better writers, to overhauling combat and embracing player freedom, there's a lot that they need to work on. But at its core, what Bethesda really needs is a return to the principles that made their older games great. Immersive world building, dynamic systems, and player-driven stories. Not this absolute nonsense that we got in Starfield. I'd love for them to go back to handcrafting dungeons, and I'd be extremely worried if they didn't do that for Elder Scrolls 6. Elder Scrolls 6 can still be the RPG of our dreams, but only if Bethesda makes the right moves. With that being said, this does draw us to the end of this video. If you think there's anything at all that I missed that could definitely improve Elder Scrolls 6, feel free to comment in the comment section below, or if you think I said something completely out of line that you don't agree with, also let me know. I'd once again like to thank you all very much for 200 subscribers, and hopefully we can keep that growing as the weeks and months and years go on. I'm always open to feedback on these videos, so if you think there's anything at all that you'd like to see improved, or any suggestions that you just want to make in general, please also let me know. This is so that I can make the best possible videos that you guys would like to actually see, whilst it also being a lot more enjoyable for you to watch. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and hopefully you guys will have a great rest of your day, and we'll be seeing you again very soon.